I'd say I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that our focus on those 8 priority areas that we outlined are still the appropriate way in which we should approach this problem. We don't want to put into the federal system low-level people who are simply there for possessory offenses.
The time has perhaps come to the realization that before long, marijuana will be a legal drug across most of America. One would have to admit it seems that train is unstoppable, but that does not mean law enforcement will continue to speak out, not just as to how bad an idea that really is, but how at the end of the day, it might be the right thing to do. Don't be confused. Welcome to MidPoint. First, she is on the board of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition and a retired lieutenant commander for the Redondo Beach, California Police Department, Diane Goldstein. And on the other side of the issue, executive director of the Alaska Association of Chiefs of Police, a group against marijuana legalization, Klaysmat joins us by phone. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Kalie, I'm going to start with you first up here. I just chose that just by a flip of the coin here. What is so wrong? And again, here's what people will say when this comes up. Every time, I know you've heard it, but I want you to answer this. What is so wrong with a mostly harmless drug that at the end of the day is no worse than alcohol?
Well, we think that marijuana is worse than alcohol in a lot of ways. One of the things is it is not legal now. There are a lot of complications if it is made legal in the states when it is not legal on the federal level.
Okay. Diane, I'm going to come to you now with this one. Here's your side of this question. It's a gateway drug, there's health issues, and it turns our kids into people into drug-loving, fast food-munching potheads.
Oh, I love the stoner analogies. You know, I spent a career in law enforcement, which included starting our school resource officer program, as well as running a narcotics unit. And I think one of the things that you have to realize that the gateway theory has been debunked by science. And I think one of the things that's problematic for us in law enforcement is we don't use science enough to craft our public policies. Is what is really a gateway drug may be more alcohol or cigarettes, or issues like, because we've abdicated control to criminal cartels and organizations that don't have our children's best interests at heart, they actually have access to not just marijuana, but to a number of other illicit substances that are much, much worse, quite frankly.
Kalie, let me drive that to you then, because that is the one side of the argument. Those who are in favor of legalizing marijuana say, look, our police departments are overburdened, they're underpaid right now. We have people wandering around with guns in almost every state in the union. We have terrorism to be involved with, so much else. It would give the cops more time to do the things that really would help the citizens and protect the citizenry. How do you answer back to that?
We disagree entirely. I just spoke to a police officer from Aurora, Colorado yesterday, and one of the things that he said was they now have to have 5 police officers on their department dedicated just to enforcing the marijuana regulations that have been created since recreational marijuana was legalized in Colorado. Now that's 5 new positions, or 5 positions that are taken off of street patrol or other tasks that they were doing previously. We find in Alaska the number of people who have been arrested for marijuana is very, very small. 2% of the total adult crimes in Alaska are possession crimes for marijuana. That's quite a small number. And as we look at the initiative that's been created for our state, we don't see where it removes any laws. It only adds a bunch of regulations that are going to have to be enforced.
Okay, I want to point out then that what I'm giving you is the argument here, not necessarily my personal view. I want to make sure that you understand that here. I'm giving you both sides of it right here. Let me just also now, Diane, I've only got about 40 seconds left, and then we're going to come back, do something else here, talk a little more. But what about these issues? What about the fact that it's exactly what Kalie's saying? How do you answer back to how she looks at this?
You know, I think that there's a couple things, and let me suggest that the chief and I actually have the public's best interests at the end of the day, which
Agreed.
is we want to enhance public safety.
Agreed.
And so what we're looking at is that there's a couple things. Literally yesterday is the King County Sheriff from Washington, Sheriff Urquhart, said that the control and regulation of marijuana in the state of Washington is an absolute success. And it's a success because more money has gone not to the cartels, but to schools, law enforcement, drug prevention programs to prevent further harms of drugs in our society. And in addition,
Okay, I'm going to have to hold you there. I'll tell you one sec. Hang on, Diane, because we're just about out of time. We're up against a hard break here. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll continue this conversation. So after the break, we found 5 reasons why one publication says cops want to legalize marijuana. We'll go to the scorecard, do much more when we continue right here on MidPoint.